welcome to another episode of Guide to Elsewhere.
This week we're going to be visiting Lankhmar, city of a thousand smokes, city of thieves.
We're joining Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser on their first journey together.
Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser.
Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser.
So good, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of our... You introduced it to me. You, very generously acquired a first edition copy for me of Swords and Deviltry, the first few sagas. It's their background stories. It's how they meet. And I love it now. It's amazing. This is something I read on the internet recently, and it kind of blew my mind. I read that Fritz Leiber invented the term swords and sorcery. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that. Some other authors had put forth different names, different ideas for what they should call the genre that was being published in this sort of vein, and it was Fritz Leiber who decided on sword and sorcery. Or I read something to that effect. I wasn't sure the exact details, but... Yeah,
it's his fucking word. So, I mean, it's his term. So, I mean, that kind of is indicative of how important his work is for fantasy as a whole. Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, the greatest heroes in the annals of fantasy. Undebatable, according to Fritz Leiber.
Yes, he just decided it, and so it was.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty amazing. So he's the Grey Mouser. His armor is made out of... and his whole outfit, including his cloak and the sheath of his sword, is made of gray mouse skin.
It's all gray.
Which is so funny. I don't know which came first, the outfit or the title, but I mean...
He's got gloves, he's got the hood.
Yeah.
What did come first?
It's so... The image of I mean, that must take 1,000 mice. The image of 1,000 mouse skins sewn together.
Oh my god.
To clothe a man...
He
from head to toe.
An entire city of mice to make that outfit.
10,000 mice. That's insane. Where do you get that many mice?
Oh my god. Maybe so he wasn't a wizard. He was a wizard's apprentice beforehand.
Yeah,
and maybe he can summon mice.
Yeah, that's to summon and then kill 1,000 mice. Those are the actions of a sociopath.
He can summon one at a time.
That is horrifying.
Yes.
Or maybe it's even worse to summon 1,000 at once and then kill them en masse.
It's all very strange.
I hope he bought the mouse skins and then carefully sewed himself an outfit.
Yeah, because Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser are characters who probably sew their own outfits.
They have
they're savants.
All of the practical skills you could ever imagine an adventurer needing, at least one of them has.
That's why this is so fun. But the place they always screw up is in their relationships or in their overconfidence.
Yeah, their drunkenness and overconfidence.
Yeah. So, Grey Mouser, you were saying?
Yeah, so the Grey Mouser, he starts off as a wizard's apprentice, and then I haven't read that story. What happens?
I can't remember that well, but he basically, in the end, decides that magic is too dangerous, and so he abandons wizardry and leaves his master.
It says on the back of the book that he's a wizardling of the whitest magic, and yet he still decides that it's not for him and abandons it for a life of swords and deviltry.
So he met his lady love while he was doing some kind of apprentice task.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
In that adventure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a disdainful duke or something. I don't know. Whatever the case, in the end, he was forget about wizardry. This is bollocks.
Yeah, I want to just kill people with my insane sword skills and guile.
Yeah. So something that I always find difficult to keep in mind, for some reason, just for me, my own brain, is that as a mouser is... someone or something that hunts mice. Like a cat is a mouser. So he's much more like a cat, or he's supposed to be in his character, than he is something to do with mice. So the fact that he has
someone who has turned the word mouse into a verb because he does mouse actions so well.
But so the fact that he has all those mouse skin clothes makes sense, because as a cat he probably would have killed a lot of mice.
Yeah, he's like a genocider of mice. He's the best mouser the world has ever seen.
In any universe, by any author.
In any universe, by any author. Okay, Fafhrd. So Fafhrd is from the frozen northern tundras, from like a Nordic barbarian tribe. And he's kind of like a princeling, isn't he?
His mother is like an important wise woman in the tribe.
Yeah, his father is dead, and his mother is like a leader of the like tribal wives. She's like a matriarch.
She's scary. She's a really controlling mother, and he
Yeah.
feels the need to get the hell out of there.
She's like an ice witch. Her and the other women are rather, in kind of a, in a slightly sexist way, are able to control their husbands through subterfuge, fear, and controlling the element of cold.
Yeah. It's very...
And snowball throwing
Yeah.
also.
The snowball fights.
Yeah.
Do what I say, or it's a snowball to the head.
But they're like icy snowballs that knock people out. They basically stone people.
And they ski there, too.
Yeah.
And snowshoe.
Yeah. But you disobey, you like act lasciviously and disobey your wife, and they wear all white, and they'll come at you in a blizzard so you can't really see them, and they'll pelt you with snowballs.
Until you're dead.
Yeah. Fafhrd accuses his mother of using the element of cold, using cold magic to cause his father's rope and ice pick to break while he's climbing a mountain that she forbid him to climb, so he would fall to his death.
That's insane.
So that in and of itself is indicative of kind of like the fear and power that the tribal women wield. So that's his mother. She leads what are they called? The snow witches or the ice witches?
The snow women. I think they're just called the snow women.
The snow women. She's like their leader.
So Fafhrd was trained in singing.
Yeah.
At a young age.
He has a voice that's high enough and kind of like musical enough that people remark on it throughout his encounters.
Which is so weird since he's so large.
Yeah, he's like 7 feet tall, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like slender but muscular.
Yeah, a body like knotted cord.
Yeah, exactly. And like flowing reddish blonde hair.
Yes. It's a very intriguing and compelling character to me because you expect him to be this sort of like gruff, like, I come from the north and I drink my mead. But instead he's like, ho there, Mouser.
Yeah, he's like a musical...
Let us slay some leopards!
Yeah, a musical, interesting kind of... In some ways, androgynous character. I know that when he's living in his tribe, he wears the traditional white that the women wear, and he has this kind of long hair, and people mistake him for a woman from behind.
I've been there.
Yeah, totally. He is genuinely a lot like you if you were 7 feet tall and from a Scandinavian ice tribe.
And a bit more muscly. Yeah. Yeah, so his lady love is an actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a lot cooler than Ivrian, for sure.
Ivrian's very kind of like classic shy character.
So whiny too.
Yeah, she's like,
She's
Grey
like
Mouser, bring me...
The Grey Mouser helps her escape from her tyrant father, and he brings her to Lankhmar, which is like very nice.
Sort of, except for it's covered in shit.
Yeah, but it's a huge, ask of someone, and he's like, I'll make us a home with my fucking skills, and she's like, I'm actually gonna need all of the trappings of a palace, and he's like, okay, fine, whatever, no problem. He does it, and she's still fucking whiny all the time.
Yeah, but
she has no agency, and she's given no agency, and is still this like frustratingly unsatisfiable character. Vlana she's a cool character. She like wears a dagger. She's very savvy. She's like a traveling actress with a band of like burlesque performers.
She's like an independent woman.
She's been all over, and she's not really to be fucked with.
Although there is that sort of moment when she's sort of having doubts when Fafhrd first brings the Grey Mouser to meet her. And then she's like, why didn't you kill those thieves? And he's like, well, come on, we killed the leopards. And then she's like, please, you should have killed the thieves. And then he's like, shut up, Vlana. And I'm like, oh, this is outdated.
Yeah, that was a really bad moment.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no, Fritz Leiber.
They're like, a real man would have committed murder to restore my honor. And they're like, okay, please, the people you want me to kill, they're high up in the Thieves Guild. It would be really difficult. It's really unreasonable of you to request that. And they're like, guys, please do it. And then they fucking try, and it almost gets them killed.
Do they go back twice into the Thieves Guild in the same story?
No, it's just once.
Okay, then in the end.
Oh no, it is twice.
Yeah,
it's
I thought
twice.
it was
You're right.
twice.
You're right. Yeah. They go back. They go once on a kind of incredibly drunken mission of restoring the honor of Vlana through murder, and then that's a huge failure. And then they go back again for revenge, and that is less of a failure.
Yeah. But this isn't a story about Fafhrd and Vlana or the Grey Mouser and Ivrian. It's a story about...
It's about no women at all. It's about male friendship.
Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser.
Yeah.
Evan and Ben.
Evan and Ben. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's great.
Yep. Silent as spectres, the tall and the fat thief edged past the dead, noose-strangled watch leopard, out the thick, lock-picked door of Jengal the gem merchant, and strolled east on Cash Street through the thin black night smog of Lankhmar, city of 70,000 smokes. East on Cash it had to be, for west at the intersection of Cash and Silver was a police post with unbribed guardsmen in brown iron cuirasses and helms, restlessly grounding and rattling their pikes, while Jengal's place had no alley entrance or even window in its stone walls, 3 spans thick, and the roof and floor almost as strong and without trapdoors.
I love that so much. City of 70,000 smokes is a wonderfully evocative phrase.
Yeah.
For an industrial kind of, like it's like a port town. It's a city of grime and industry. What a fucking wonderful phrase to attach to a place.
I love how the smog is so thick that at nighttime you can't even really see more than like a few yards in front of you at a time. Like they're talking about every time they travel forward or they're going down the street, he kind of describes how objects just sort of materialize out of the fog or the grime, the smog as they're moving. It's like the lamp suddenly just like materializes and it's almost like physically occupying a space in the darkness as opposed to like illuminating something.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this smog almost kind of like chokes them. The night smog, they call it.
Yeah.
It's like they can't people can't tolerate being in it for very long. It has a presence in the city. Yeah. It's like the traffic in LA or the high rises in New York. It's like what defines the visual characteristic of the city, and the challenge for everyone that lives there is this like dense, horrible smog.
Yeah, I like how the tale of the formal dress, the official formal dress of the city is the black toga, which maybe once was white, but then some enterprising tailor was like, oh, let's make it black because all of the white garments end up becoming black with the smog soot anyway.
Mm-hmm. The smog has dyed everything black, including the morals.
Yeah.
It's a dark place.
Oh, yeah.
It's a dark place in every sense.
Yeah.
Very little good happens there.
But it's so rich. It seems like full of possibility.
Oh yeah. It's great. It's like rife with visual metaphors. It's the perfect place to set a dark fantasy adventure. Okay, so I read let me see, where the fuck did I write this? My handwriting is so terrible. I read that there are crazy parallels with 16th century Sevilla or Seville in Spain, and it was kind of a popular place to set stories for a while, like a couple hundred years later, like little urban adventures, and a lot of people think he based it on 16th century Sevilla. It was like this grimy industrial port town, which was similarly ruled by these kind of corrupt monarchs, and it had a thieves guild. Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Because Lankhmar seems so visceral and so real that I was really impressed by his ability to like make it feel that way. And if he's basing it on like an actual real city, that's almost even cooler in a way because it's like, yeah, Lankhmar was a real place.
Fantasy to me is always improved when it draws on real history, and I think it does help authors create crazy, believable detail. I think that like one of my favorite things about Dune is like the rich and detailed political system, the balance of power that determines who controls the galaxy between nobles and the emperor and the mega corporations. And I think this is similar. Fritz Leiber does a similar thing, which I really enjoyed, in kind of like here and there tangentially discussing the balance of power in Lankhmar. It's so awesome because, you know, Lankhmar is a city of chaos and corruption, and the political system is exactly like that. So They discuss briefly that the city is ruled by an overlord, which is what they call him, the like political ruler, which is hilarious. And then there's also a bunch of corrupt nobles who kind of check his power. I assume those are like the black toga wearing kind of elites. And then from behind the scenes, the people who are really calling the shots and manipulating everyone are the Thieves Guild, who are incomprehensibly rich in this like city of thieves and corruption. What a rich set of ideas. You can see why this setting lends itself so well to Dungeons and Dragons and why people have kind of latched onto it.
Totally. It was one of Gary Gygax's very first influences, and I think one of the largest. He, even in his Greyhawk setting, the city of Greyhawk is also known as the city-state of the Invincible Overlord, which I think was obviously directly influenced from the Overlord who rules over Lankhmar.
Yeah, when a political system is that corrupt and open, you feel like you could manipulate it as an adventurer.
I love how in the Thieves Guild, like, there seem to be all these rankings, and everyone, it's almost very formalized, like an academy or something like that. Yeah. Like Fisif, one of the two thieves, Slevius and Fisif. Fritz Leiber's like, Fisif has a ranking of... He's
like a first thief, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a candidate master thief? Or no, is that Slevius?
I think Slevius is the one who's like, okay, I'm going to get it out. He's like been deputized to be a first thief for this mission, but he's like a thief second class or something is his title.
It's so elaborate.
But it's so militaristic, which is awesome because the kind of official power structures in Lankhmar are in total disarray. Obviously, they're totally corrupt. There's no real police there. But then the Thieves Guild, who operate behind the shadows, have this incredibly complicated, incredibly regimented system of power and control they use to dominate the city. They've like filled the power vacuum. It's crazy.
And then Fisif has a ranking of talented in double dealing.
Yeah, totally.
It's just so funny. It's so specific.
Yeah, it's just, you can totally imagine like his employee review meeting. They they have like a bunch of different boxes that they're taking, and they gave him a 5 out of 5 in double dealing. maybe like sleight of hand, he's only a 2 out of 5, and whatever. Sneaking, he's a 1 out of 5. I think they described him as like a rather large, lumbering fellow.
He's kind of obese.
Yeah, but double dealing, he'll convince you to buy a used car or whatever. Who knows?
Even in that very opening scene, he's describing how he's planning on backstabbing Slevius.
Yeah.
Which, that's 5 out of 5 double dealing.
It's 5 out of 5 double dealing. Thief second class.
10 out of 10 would double deal again.
It's so funny. It's insane imagining a Thieves Guild that's that organized.
But they're not organized to stop our heroes.
Yeah. Nothing will ever stop them. I mean...
Yeah, well, it says right on the back that they're the greatest swordsmen in any universe in any time period.
Yeah, that's pretty definitive.
Imagine being a writer who just decided that about your characters.
Yeah.
My character's the best out of any character ever written.
The greatest heroes in the annals of fantasy.
Yeah, well, who can argue with that once it's in print?
No one should argue with Fritz Leiber. He's very articulate. I don't think he would win.
He uses really obscure words too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, he has
What's one of the words he used?
A great command of obscure words.
He says, about Fafhrd, he says, and cursed sulfurously. That's such imaginative language. Like it's like fire and brimstone, like sulfurous. Like it was hot and angry and
yeah. Sulfur is a very evocative material. It's disgusting and it really hits you in all senses at once.
Hits you right on the nose.
Yeah, no doubt. There are some words that very much confuse me. Okay, so like the word sobriquet.
Or like sobriquet. Yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Sobriquet.
Yeah. I looked it up, and it means like a nickname that's been gifted to a person.
Okay.
It's like a name that, due to your actions, has been cast upon you by others. So even though Lankhmar is obviously like this city of it's like rank and dank. It's the city of corruption and poverty and
Lankhmar.
Yeah, overwhelming, oppressive smoke and industry. Huge amounts of trade and commerce that are only being enjoyed by a tiny portion of the population. However, it seems like the Thieves Guild are actually a really effective and comprehensive organization in their control over the city, and it seems like crime is like highly regulated by the Thieves Guild, and therefore quite rare because of how surprised everyone is that Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser are able to kind of commit crime outside of the guild's sanctions.
Yeah, it's almost like being a criminal in Lankhmar is like paying taxes. Like,
Yeah.
you have to.
It's like a legitimate job.
Yeah.
It's people. So you know, you're kind of like a freelancer who's acting in bad faith and breaking the laws if you're just going out there and like doing your own kind of side hustle crime.
And they clearly have their own system of things. Like when Fissif is thinking about when they robbed Jangao, the gem merchant, he's like, Jangao must be allowed, nay encouraged, to build up his business again and so ripen it for another plucking. Like, they don't steal too much. They steal just enough so that they get a profit, but that the merchant isn't completely destitute, and so they're basically just like fostering this source of income.
Yeah, it's all very meticulous. They don't ruin anyone fully. They rob them and leave them with enough to rebuild their business so they can rob them again.
Yep.
Which is horrifying, but very compelling to read about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this. So the Mouser goes on a crime spree, which is kind of required by the sophisticated tastes of his girlfriend. He robs all the fixings of a noble house.
Yeah.
To kind of, you know, be her housemaker and make her comfortable because she's this like rich woman from a cushy place. And during his crime spree, he is given not one or two but three sobriquets.
Yes, I was hoping you would talk about this.
Yeah, for his criminal misgivings. They call him, and I mean this all pertains to the things he is stealing, which are fancy house accoutrements. So they call him the rug robber, the carpet crimp, and the candle corsair.
The candle corsair.
Which is hilarious, but I mean, clearly, like, so he's robbed all this really fancy shit from fancy houses, and that's so uncommon that these nicknames are floated throughout Lankhmar for this, like, you know, unguild-related thief.
Another hit by the carpet corsair.
Yeah, you can imagine that in all the local papers.
The candle corsair. I said that wrong.
It's the carpet crimp.
The rug robber.
The rug robber.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny when Fafhrd was confronting him about that, and then he just starts dancing around his apartment.
Yeah.
Sort of proudly.
He's like so stoked about it.
He's like, yeah, I'm the rug robber.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be proud too.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Rug robber.
Yeah. We should steal rugs. They're so expensive.
I've walked by a number of Persian rug stores.
But you don't want to steal them from a small store, you know? You want to steal them from a mansion.
Like specifically.
Yeah. They won't miss them, just like the Mouser did. You want to impress your girlfriend with a gigantic, fucking luxurious, shaggy Persian rug.
I feel like you'd notice it more if it went missing from a mansion than if it went missing from a store which had like shelves of rugs.
Yeah, perhaps. But, you know, they'd be able to buy another one. Whereas I think tiny carpet stores, they're operating with some tight margins.
I think you're right about that.
It is kind of a shame the way that both of the female characters are kind of like these accessories to their friendship rather than real characters.
Yeah, especially since in the first two stories, their origin stories, the female characters were like the objects, the goals of the whole stories. And then by the time we get to Ilmet and Lankhmar, it's like,
yeah,
they're just like, shut up, woman, or like, hey, what's up? Let me go introduce you to my woman and make sure that we have a good time drinking. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're totally sidelined. They're left out of the entire adventure. And then, yeah, they kind of like die a horrendous death. Well, I guess the whole story, and this is typical of a lot of sword and sorcery stories, everything kind of resets at the end to make space for new adventures to happen.
Yeah, totally. Like, they lose all the money they made.
Yeah.
relationships they have that are like tying them down from more adventure are eradicated through death.
The necessity has to be there. And, the focal element of the story is the friendship between Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. And so there can't be any troublesome women getting in the way.
Yeah.
They have to be removed entirely from the fictional universe.
So it was they who were surprised and thrown into confusion when, with the lightning speed of youth, the Mouser and Fafhrd sprang up, whipped out fearsomely long swords, and faced them back to back. The Mouser made a very small parry and cart so that the thrust of the Bravo from the east went past his left side by only a hair's breadth. He instantly riposted. His adversary, desperately springing back, parried in turn and cart. Hardly slowing, the tip of the Mouser's long, slim sword dropped under the parry with the delicacy of a princess curtsying, and then leaped forward and a little upward, the Mouser making an impossibly long-looking lunge from one so small, and went between two scales of the Bravo's armored jerkin, and between his ribs and through his heart and out his back, as if all were angel food cake.
I love the image of how the battle went, because they meet immediately. They careen off of a bridge onto two thieves, knock them out acrobatically, incapacitate them, rob them, briefly talk about dividing up their new wealth, and then first thing that happens, they fight back to back.
And they don't even know each other.
They don't even know each other. What a story of friendship. It's the first thing that happens.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's
and
great.
So fun. It's like nothing has more like swashbuckling action than these stories.
You know what convinces me most that we would do well in Lankhmar and that it's a good place to travel to?
What?
They have angel food cake.
Yeah, that's true. They do have that.
Bit of an anachronism there.
I hate angel food cake.
It's okay.
It's not great though.
No. No,
If
but...
they had cheesecake, I might fare better. I like the denser desserts.
Well, the smog is dense. Maybe the cheesecake is dense.
Yeah. If their cake is as dense as their smog, it's a place that I'll enjoy. We should maybe move to a town of crime.
Yeah. I think we'd do okay. I mean, some of those people in the Thieves Guild. I feel like we would do better if we were to join the Thieves Guild than if we were to be Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser.
That's the most depressing thing you've ever said. Instead of being two mavericks out on the fringes of society seeking riches and love,
I'm sorry.
we'd be bureaucratically slogging away in an organization, hoping for a promotion, robbing petty jewelers, and, backstabbing our employees for a solid review to get 5 stars as a double dealer.
All right, I take it back. Whenever we...
All right, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Guide to Elsewhere.
We hope you're excited about Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser and eager to take a jaunt to Lankhmar, where you will experience riches aplenty.
And horrific and gratuitous violence.
Yeah.
We'll hope to have another episode out to you guys soon. The music is all written and performed by Ben, so he's your go-to guy if you want more of it. That's all from us.
Till next time.